Good day, students. You are welcome to today's lesson. I am Mr. Idowu Olajide Taufik. The subject I will teach you now is English language, and the topic is the past tense. Now, our objectives. At the end of the lesson, the student will be able to 1. Define past tense, 2. Identify the types, 3. Use past tenses correctly. Again, define past tense, identify the types, and lastly, use past tenses correctly. Now, let's look at the definition of the past tense. It is used to refer to actions that took place in the past. It's a type of action which is not relevant to the present. It indicates a just concluded action. In addition, it is used to talk about hypothesis and politeness. That means the past tense can be defined as a just concluded action, and it can also be used to indicate politeness. For example, he went to the market. He went to the market. He was working as a teacher. He was working as a teacher. He had been living in that house since August. He had been living in that house since August. The students had written the note before the teacher entered the classroom. The students had written the note before the teacher entered the classroom. There are 4 types of past tenses. 1. The simple past tense. 2. The past perfect tense. 3. The past continuous tense. And 4. The past perfect continuous tense. The simple past tense, the past perfect tense, the past continuous tense, and the past perfect continuous. The simple past tense. The simple past tense denotes an action that happened in the past and has no connection with the present. With most verbs, the past tense is formed by adding the suffix ed to the verb. For example, verbs like worked, created, waited, etc. They are verbs ending with ed, and it can also accept irregular verbs such as spoke, rang, taught, run. So that means the simple past tense means a just concluded action which can take ed as its past verb, or it can take irregular verbs. Let's look at the uses of the simple past tense. 1. It is used to denote an action that happened once in the past. To denote an action that happened once in the past. E.g., she met her husband in 1988. She met her husband in 1988. He wrote the note on the board. He wrote the note on the board. The principal advised the student. The principal advised the student. He wept bitterly yesterday. He wept bitterly yesterday. The thief jumped the fence. The thief jumped the fence. These are good examples of actions which denote that it happened once in the past. It can also be used to denote an action that happened regularly in the past. An action that happened regularly in the past. E.g., he ate a lot when he was a child. He ate a lot when he was a child. She usually sang songs in the evening. She usually sang songs in the evening. Alimot always talked about her beauty. Alimot always talked about her beauty. He visited Lagos frequently. He visited Lagos frequently. It can also be used to denote action that was true for some time in the past. To denote an action that was true for some time in the past. E.g., she lived with her parents for 20 years. She lived with her parents for 20 years. She was married to that man some years back. She was married to that man some years back. He was my friend in those days. He was my friend in those days. The houses were at this spot 2 years ago. The houses were at this spot 2 years ago. It can also be used to indicate formal expression. To indicate formal expression, e.g., sir, could you please lend me your pen? Sir, could you please lend me your pen? The governor should build more schools. The governor should build more schools. The commissioner should work with the governor. The commissioner should work with the governor. The principal should address the students. the principal should address the student. And lastly, it can be used after words such as high time, time, etc. E.g., it is high time you stopped watching night movie and it is time you woke up to your responsibilities. I'm going to pause here, and when I come back with the next segment, I will teach you more aspect of the past tense. Good day, students. You are welcome to the second part of today's lesson. The topic is the past tense. The past tense. Now, let us continue our lesson with the past perfect tense. The past perfect tense. Let me quickly define what we call the past perfect tense. The past perfect tense denotes an action that happened before another action in the past. The tense makes it clear which action happened first. It is used to describe two actions that occurred in the past. It takes had with past participle verb. Let me read it again. Let me explain what we call the past perfect tense. The past perfect tense denotes an action that happened before another action in the past. That means it indicates two actions which started and were concluded in the past. The two actions never have any relation with the present situation. The actions started in the past and were concluded in the past. And the past perfect tense will always take had with past participle verb. Had with past participle verb. Now let us look at the uses of the past perfect tense. The past perfect tense is used to 1. Indicate an action that started in the past and continued to the given time in the past. It indicates an action that started in the past and continued up to the given time in the past. Now let us see this example. The train had left the station before I arrived. The train had left the station before I arrived. They had swum to safety when the rescuers arrived at the scene. They had swum to safety when the rescuers arrived at the scene. He had recorded discourse before the teacher got to the classroom. He had recorded discourse before the teacher got to the classroom. It can also be used for an action done several times up to a point in the past and continued after that point. For an action done several times up to a point in the past and continued after that point. E.g., he had written 3 letters and he was working on the 4th. He had written 3 letters and he was working on the 4th. It can also be used to report our experience, or it can be used to report our experiences up to the present. That means we can use the past perfect tense to report experiences. For example, I was pleased to meet Rashidat, whom I hadn't met before. I was pleased to meet Rashidat, whom I hadn't met before. It can also be used for an action that happened in the past but is important at the time of reporting. Let me say it again. For an action that happened in the past but is important at the time of reporting. For example, she wasn't at home. She had gone to the market. She wasn't at home. She had gone to the market. These are the various uses of the past perfect tense. Don't forget, I said the past perfect tense will take the verb had with past participle verb, and it has various uses which I've been able to explain. I'm going to pause here, and when I come back for the last part of this lesson, I'm going to teach you the other two types of the past tense. Thank you. Students, you are welcome to the last part of today's lesson. The topic is the past tense. The past tense. Now let us continue with the third type, which is called the past continuous tense. The past continuous tense is used to describe actions that began in the past and often continued for a short period of time after the action started. This tense describes actions or events that happened at a specific time in the past. It is formed from the past tense of the verb be with ing suffix. That is, the past continuous tense is formed with was or were with ing verb. Was or were with ing verb. Now the uses. 1. It is used for an action going on at some time in the past. For an action going on at some time in the past, e.g., the children were eating dinner when their parents got home. I was watching TV yesterday evening. My uncle came when I was reading the novel. The children were sleeping in the morning. The children were sleeping in the morning. 2. To denote a change of mind. To denote a change of mind. E.g., I was going to play cricket, but I have decided to finish my homework instead. I was going to play cricket, but I have decided to finish my homework instead. 3. To denote an action happening repeatedly. To denote an action happening repeatedly. E.g., they were always fighting. He was always bullying his siblings. He was always bullying his siblings. Now let's go for the last type, which is called the past perfect continuous tense. The past perfect continuous tense. The past perfect continuous tense denotes an action that started in the past and continued up to another point in the past. It is formed using had been with ing form of the verb. Had been with ing form of the verb. Student, please take note of the been. It is spelled B-E-E-N. B-E-E-N. Had been with ing form of the verb. Now uses. 1. It is used for something that started in the past and continued up until another time in the past. For something that started in the past and continued up until another time in the past. E.g., he had been exercising for an hour before his mother arrived. Modupe had been walking 3 miles a day before she broke her leg. He had been writing an interesting essay for 2 hours before his teacher stopped him. He had been writing an interesting essay for 2 hours before his teacher stopped him. Lastly, it is used to show cause and effect. To show cause and effect. E.g., he was tired because he had been exercising. He was tired because he had been exercising. Now, references. 1. English Grammar by Sheila Sholari. English Grammar by Sheila Sholari. 2. Contemporary English Grammar by J.D. Modi. Contemporary English Grammar by J.D. Modi. Or you can go on www.mbrodonvo.com. www.mbrodonvo.com. Now your classwork. Fill the blanks with correct form of verbs in the following sentences. Fill in the blanks with correct form of verbs in these following sentences. 1. My friend said he dash a reporter. Is it is or was? 2. He had dash the letter. Is it written or wrote? 3. We have dash waiting for you. Is it been or been? And 4. They dash to school every day. Is it walks or walks? Students, this is the end of today's lesson. Thank you. God bless you.